Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the Coaching Call podcast. On this podcast, we'll cover various types of coaching by trainers in sports, martial arts, fitness, and business. We'll discuss each coach's methods to getting the most out of their respective athletes or clients and how they attempt to change the platform in which they coach. Join us on a fun adventure as we discuss unique coaching styles. Coaching is a universal part of how we get others to get something done. Join your host, Rafael, and his guests on this unique journey in coaching.
Hi, I'm Sifu Rafael, and this is the Coaching Call podcast. If you enjoy this episode, please subscribe and leave a review. This episode was made possible by listeners like you. Charissa, good morning. Happy Wednesday. How are you this morning?
I'm doing exceptional, Sifu. How are you?
Oh my gosh, exceptional and getting better every day. I love it. Great minds think alike, right? And yes, you are exceptional. I am super excited to get to know you. Where were you born? And who would you say influenced you when you were a child, under 15 even?
So I was born in a very small town called Grand Prairie in northern Alberta, Canada. And I grew up 15 minutes from it. So the hospital was in Grand Prairie, but I lived in Wembley for the first 18 years of my life. Mm-hmm. And really, it's hard to pin down who had the biggest impact on me. Like when I was younger, my dad went overseas working, so he broadened my horizon from a small town to realizing that there is a big world. But it was also the dance teachers I had and piano teachers and books that impacted me the most, because it just created such a different world for me to be able to exist in that wasn't just in my small town.
You talked about your dad traveling. Mm-hmm. How did he broaden your horizon? Exactly, if you don't mind.
Well, it did two things. I was 13 when he decided to work overseas. So he did a shift where he was gone for 5 weeks and then home for 5 weeks. So that broadened my horizon, that the world was bigger than just Alberta or Canada. Right. But also it created a need to be a bit more independent, because now it was mom and us girls at home having to navigate all of life, just the four of us, without having dad there for those 5 weeks. So it was really learning how to step up and become a little bit more self-sufficient during that time.
So growing up, and so did you have that time with your dad? Did he explain to you where he was, what he did, what he saw? Did he bring back stuff for you guys? Or girls, should I say?
He did. He was working in Nigeria at the time. And so he did a really great job of bringing that culture back to us and kind of explaining what he was working with and what culture was there. And for Christmas that year, he actually got us tailor-made Nigerian outfits for the three of us girls and my mom. I still have it in a trunk somewhere. It might actually fit me now again, but so it was the head wraps and everything like that. So it was a really fun integration of learning about where he was in that time away from us.
Wow, that's pretty incredible. And if you don't mind, what did your dad do in Nigeria?
My dad's in the oil field. So he's an instrumentation technician by trade, and now he's in operations. He still works in Africa to this day. But still oil field based.
Oh, wow. Pretty cool. Yeah. So what was it like growing up with three sisters?
It was definitely interesting. I'm the middle of three girls. And, sometimes we would all get along and sometimes we would have two getting along and one not. But it was, there was sibling rivalry. There was a lot of fun had, and they were the best playmates that you had because you were always together.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. If you think about, you talked about dance, you talked about, did you say swim?
Piano.
So similar.
Yeah.
What was the attraction, or was it just that your mom said, this is what you're going to do?
My mom wanted us to have something to fill our time. She didn't want us to fall in the trap of being in a small town and getting ourselves into trouble because we had too much idle time. So we got to choose every year whether or not we would go back into dance. All of us did dance. But I danced for 15 years. I loved
Mm.
it. I love the discipline, the expression, the creativity, and just, developing yourself. It was actually the beginning of my self development started there.
Now, my fiance also danced for quite a long time, probably as long as you did. And I can see the dancer body in her, right? It never leaves, right? And she teaches kickboxing now. And
Mhm.
when she first started to teach kickboxing, I had to retrain her kicks because they were more ballet style, right? And I said, wait a minute, we actually have to pivot, we have to do this, we have to do that, you have to turn your hips, all that stuff. And so, but now she's a phenomenal kickboxing instructor. But you can still see that, her leg is all the way up here and the whole thing, and everybody else is like, how do you do that? Obviously, it's from all the training. How do you see your dancing career still following you?
It follows me in the
Your
sense
movement.
of, yeah, in my movement. When I went to massage school, we do this thing called a plumb line. So you do a body assessment of the person. And I stood up nice and tall, had my feet out to the side, and my teacher was like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm standing." And she's like, "That's not how we stand." So I had to turn my feet forward, have my arms to the side, and relearn that that was actually only appropriate in the studio of dancing. So I notice it in how I move about. I always carry myself with a very upright posture and
Mhm.
presented well. And I dance around the kitchen. I'll dance in the aisles at the grocery store. That love of movement has never left. But it really had to be retrained out of me, especially when I'm doing weight training. You can't be hyperextended and then lifting a weight above your head. You're
Right.
going to dislocate your shoulder. But it's just that really deep body awareness and just the desire to move to the rhythm.
Mm. Definitely. I mean, I was never professionally trained, but I guess music moves me, right?
Yeah.
So for sure. Um, Now, what kind of dance did you do? Because there is
I,
different categories, right?
I did ballet and lyrical. So lyrical is a little bit more of the storytelling and a little bit more emotion to it. And the ballet is a lot more pragmatic, disciplined, and very
Mhm.
choreographed steps.
Yeah, yeah. Really cool stuff. So you talked about bodybuilding. Before we get into that, let's talk about the piano. And for how long did you play a piano for?
I played piano, I believe it was 5 years. So I started when I was 13 and did that all the way until I graduated from high school. And again, nice tall posture while you're playing, learning how to use different parts of your brain at the same time because the
Mm,
method I got taught was my piano teacher would play on her piano and I would have to mimic back to her what she played on my piano and then we would learn how to do theory on top of that. So I learned by listening and then learned how to read after.
mm. When I was younger, I dated a concert pianist who used to play at, in New York City and all that
Yeah.
stuff, for the big places, Carnegie Hall and all. And I did learn one song.
Yeah.
You want to know what it was?
Was it chopsticks?
No. Three Blind
Okay.
Mice. Simple. Three Blind Mice. I don't even know if I could play it now, but for a while, I was really good at that one song. But it was so beautiful just to watch her play.
Yeah.
You should phenomenal, and obviously that was also about discipline, coordination, focus, right, and
Yeah.
also poise, if you will. Right, you can't
Yes.
slouch at a piano
No.
unless you're drunk, and that's a different story. Uh, so, thinking about the discipline that you went through, did that become a habit for you to understand that this is something that I can do anything?
To a degree, yes.
Mm,
It applied to what I put my mind to. Then I had a pattern that if I just kept going, then I would figure it out. I would learn what I needed to learn, or I would become skilled at that because it took multiple repetitions to be able to play a song by memory or to be able to do a choreographed dance for 2.5 minutes.
mm,
It didn't just happen because I decided I can do anything. I had to have the action of practice behind it in order for that to become true.
mm.
So that's what it taught me is you need that action behind the discipline for it to actually have benefit.
I'm going to ask you a question that a lot of people don't realize. 2.5 minutes when you have to remember a sequence of moves seems like 2.5 days, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah.
Explain to us how, because there's so many, especially choreography, there's so many nuances that go into it. And even, playing a song from memory, right? Because you can read the music, but if you're playing it from memory, you've had to practice that countless of times. How do you shorten that time to be
By
natural? For somebody watching, it's 2.5 minutes for them. For you, it's forever, right?
yeah. So the way to shorten the time is to realize that even if it's in a mix of everybody else, say you're playing a piano with a band or you're dancing with other people, you have to be really good at your part. You can't do everybody else's part. So the minute that you realize that you are 100% responsible for only your part, then you know, okay, the amount of effort I put behind and the intention I put behind my practice will either cause me to go forward because I'm remembering quickly and I'm putting intention behind what I'm doing and getting the steps down and then only having to focus on, say, the last 30 seconds. Because the first 2 minutes, yep, that's locked in. I can do that without music, no problem. But it's just really tightening up the fact that this is on me. And the way that I approach it will either make this stick faster or I'm going to struggle. And that's 100% in your control. And then when you hit that point where like, I've gone as much as I can, I'm struggling on the last 15 seconds, you reach out to somebody. How can you support me? What am I missing? Watch my movements. Where could I tighten this up? And just having that outside view, looking at, I've brought this product to you. And now what do I need? Because I've gotten as far as I can go. Right. I didn't get better at any of this without my piano teacher giving me pointers or encouragement, or my dance teacher saying, great, your blocking here needs a little bit of work, or okay, let's speed this up here, or really, you got to really run really far. It wasn't just me doing it on my own, but I had to put in that effort first for them to have something to productively give critiquing to.
Yeah. You just basically spoke what life is really truly about. Imagine if everybody lived with intention and understanding that their part is critical to a family unit, to a business unit. If everybody just did their part, wow, wow, productivity would shoot up,
Right.
wouldn't it? Talk to me about school. Talk to me about when you were a young girl going to school. How was that like? Were your sisters in the same grade with you, different school? Talk to me about all that good stuff.
So my sisters and I were spaced out. My older sister's 3 years older than me, and my younger sister is 4 years younger than me.
Mm,
So we were in the same schools at times, never in the same grade. But I was the middle kid. I was a very different kid than everybody else in the family. I was a really great student. I put a lot of effort into my studying for the most part. I didn't struggle too much in school, different things in math here and there. Um, but I was on the honor roll. I was very proud of the academic achievement that I got, as well as the dancing and the music and things. It wasn't until I got to high school that I had one teacher that saw, I think she must have looked at me like a little pearl in the making, because I didn't get easy marks in her class like I was used to getting. I would put in the same amount of effort and she would give me a 70. And that just blew my brain because I was a perfectionist. I really wanted to achieve. If I got 97%, I'd come home crying. Like, it was pretty ingrained. And so she's like, there is more in you. And I am not going to mark you high enough if you don't give me that more from you. So when I did eventually get an 85 in her class, I was very excited because I had finally gotten something closer to what was more comfortable for me. But it actually forced me to grow because I wasn't just being passed along as that good honor roll student. Somebody was looking at, hey, I see more in there. Give me more. Work harder. Find your capacity.
Wow. I say we need more teachers like that for sure.
Yes.
There's no doubt. I do teach. So when I do teach people something, I don't give them the accolades that they're used to, like your teacher. I say, you want me to lie to you? Would you like a lie? You want me to tell you that you did really great when you didn't? Do you want the truth or you want to lie?
Yeah.
And it's funny, the kids will always go, tell me the truth.
Yeah.
Because then all of a sudden they know I'm lying to them if I say you did a good job, But when I tell them they did a good job, then all of a sudden they are so proud of themselves.
Yeah.
And that teacher was beautiful. That to me, she's a hero.
She
She's
is.
your hero, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's interesting. You were on the honors, but somebody said, hey, wait a minute. Let's make you a real honor, right? Let's really have you shine the way you're supposed to. And I love when people pull something out of you that you never expected to have.
Yeah.
You do that for people now, right?
That's what my hope is.
Yeah. We're going to get to that. We're jumping up the line, right? So talk to me about overall schooling. Talk to me about when you were between 15 to 20. What was that like? Dating, all these different things. What was life like for you?
Life between 15 to 20 was really interesting, right? So
That's a good way
yeah,
to put it.
it was interesting. It's a roller coaster. Like, I was from a small town, but I didn't fit the small town mentality. I always had a wider view. It was one of those things. I've called myself a trailblazer because I was always doing my own thing because A, I didn't like being told what to do. And B, I just had such a different vision. I could see things that the people around me were like, how did you come to that? And so, when I was 15, I was working on top of dancing 35 hours a week. I danced 35 hours a week for my whole high school career, but I also had a job outside of the house too, because I really understood that if I was going to university or continuing education after graduation, that majority of the finance part was going to be on me. I had a little bit of help from my parents, but I still had to make my own way. And so, it was leaning into working, friends, dancing. That really took up a lot of my teenage years and high school years. I didn't party in high school. I didn't drink in high school. That all came a little bit later. And so when I was 17 is when I graduated, and I turned 18 a month and a half after I graduated. But I moved away 7 hours away to go to university. I originally was going to be a psychologist. But then the year that I graduated from school, Ontario, another province here, canceled their grade 13. So we had an influx of students. So I actually got kicked out of my faculty. So I had to be an unclassified student. And again, that was another thing that really, took a blow to my identity, because I was this high achieving. I was 8% above the average when I got accepted. And now I didn't even get into the faculty. Wow. And so I had to reassess. And I came home for a year to go to the college in Grand Prairie and decided, psychology was really interesting to me, but it wasn't my passion. I had been that or massage for my whole life. And I decided that I was going to try the massage career. And when I applied, I got into the 5 schools that I applied to. So I'm like, there we go. There's the ease in life. So I went back to Calgary to go to massage school, and I worked for 4 months as a banquet server between when school was going to start and when I wanted to move back. And then I did my program in 18 months. So, and during that time, I had my very first serious boyfriend. I was 16 till 20 is when we were together. And there was a lot of growing in life that happened there. He was from a different religion. His parents were from a different background. So I really had to prove that I was worth their son, which, I'm 2 years younger than him at this point. And so it was very challenging because I'm a great student. I volunteered in the community. I don't drink. I have all of these things. And still this family was like, let's see your parents and see if we like you. And I'm like, okay, right. But it was a very pivotal relationship. And it was like the very first big heartbreak, because by the end of the 4 years, we had definitely grown apart and we weren't a great match for each other anymore. So it felt like the world was imploding because it's that first big relationship. But it was the first point of freedom as well, because the path of getting married and having kids wasn't something I wanted just yet, but he very much wanted that. So, it was the things that are meant to happen in life were coming to fruition.
Wow. You did mention volunteering. So during this whole time, you're volunteering, not only working, going to dance, doing all these things. Talk to me about what inspired you to even become a volunteer, and what did you volunteer to do?
I always loved helping people. So I was part of the student council and we'd put together events at the school. I would volunteer to tutor people. I volunteered to help clean up garbage around town. And at the dance studio, there's opportunities to mentor some of the younger students. And I was always taking people under my wing for one reason or another, and just looking for opportunities where I could give back. What can I do? I volunteered for the yearbook because I loved photography, and it was just ways to commemorate things. So
that's awesome. That's beautiful. Always liked helping people.
Yeah.
Talk to me about what inspired you between psychology, because you said it didn't fit for you, but all of a sudden you got accepted to 5 different schools. What was the draw for the therapy part?
It was something I was always passionate about. When I was 5, I'd be sitting behind people on the couch and giving them shoulder rubs. And then just using massage therapy and chiropractic as a dancer, I always saw the benefit that came from it. And it interacts with that psychology part too, because you get to interact with people for an hour in quite an intimate way, because you're in the setting where the person has a fair amount of clothes not on, and they're in a position where you get to learn a lot about people, because when people feel uncomfortable, they talk. And so what I loved about clinical practice, because I didn't work in spas, I worked in clinical practice, is that I got to know that person. And then I could see the correlation between how life was going for them to how their body was presenting. And then in that time where I was relaxing their muscles, it would allow them to come back into themselves. They weren't dissociated. They weren't worried about their problems. They just got to be for this hour. And so I really got excited about the fact that not only was there, muscle relaxation happening and structural relief happening, but people were coming back to themselves and seeing that change and that spark back in their eyes after their massage. And man, you can take on the rest of your day, no problem, because you're actually in alignment. But then they'd come back to me the next time and they'd be out of alignment, and then we get them back in. And it was, that thing where I'm doing the psychology part of it without making them feel judged. This is just giving them a place to be without any expectation.
Oh, that's incredible. I got to tell you, did you realize that you put psychology into your physical therapy? Because now you're working both of the things that you're pursuing, but one kind of made you understand the other one, because for me, it's always about mindset. If your mindset is wrong, your body will feel it.
Yes.
100%. So thank you for sharing that. Because a lot of people, they wonder, why do I have all these pains, all these, because you have negative thoughts all day long. Cut that out. Right?
Yep.
Think positive.
Or you're not working through your emotions, right?
Yep.
Because it's like we're multi-spectrum people. So we are not supposed to just be happy. We're supposed to feel the broad range of everything. So when we have that capacity, a lot of times we don't work through the emotions we feel. We have a lot of repressed emotions that are going on because they have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And in order to get from the middle to the end, you have to be in a safe place to express them, move through them. Push-ups are a good way to move through them because then you don't keep it bottled up. So it's that function of realizing we're actually a glass jar of emotions, for a funny term, and getting people to realize it's okay to have a multi-spectrum of feelings every day.
It's so interesting when people don't understand that concept of your emotions. For example, a lot of people will come home from what they call a rough day, and they're like, "Oh, I need to sit on the couch and just chill, or I need to drink something to take the edge off," instead of dealing with the emotion that they're having. So they put that on the back burner, and then all of a sudden that multiplies, right? It's just
Yeah.
stacking and stacking and stacking, and all of a sudden they're not them.
No.
I love how you bring them back and put that spark back in their eye. Too bad you're so far away from me.
Yeah.
So let's talk. You've been doing that. What was one of the things that you constantly saw that people were struggling with when they first came in, and then all of a sudden they were like, you know what, I need to come back to you. I need to come back. Because you always get stragglers who come in, and then you never maybe see them again. All of a sudden they're like, they found you and they're like, oh my God, this is incredible. Can you book me in again?
You know what? I was really blessed that I easily built a loyal following, right? Like I have a couple stragglers that would come and, want to have massages, but usually when people would come in, they would be there, right? And it would only take a few months for me to actually build up my consistent regulars that I'm like, I can't actually take any more people because I don't have room without bumping my regulars out. And I didn't practice that way. That's actually how I got a lot of regular clients, is because their therapist was really good, but then they would never be able to get them in because they were always trying to get more people in the door. And so if I was getting too busy, I would text my regulars and like, hey, you normally come Monday at 5, haven't seen you in a month, first dibs for this one, otherwise it won't be here. And it was building that rapport with them because I would sit with them and like, okay, tell me what's going on. Okay, what's behind this? How's life going for you? And like asking not just surface level questions so I could take their money. I'm like, how do we work in collaboration to actually make you feel better? Like, do you want to get better, move forward with this, or are you just invested in, I'm going to do my work and then that's all you're interested in? Because then I would know, A, whether or not we were aligned, and B, the level of expectation to have of them, right? If they're invested, then I'll expect that you've done your homework and we can move from there. And if you're not, then you'll just pay my rent. And I, always encourage them, like, if you did this at home, you would feel better. We could make more progress. And then if they chose not to, I'm like, okay, well, that's still on the table. It's still a possibly useful tool because we haven't figured out if it works or not yet, because we need to take action and just have that. So I approached each client very differently. I saw them as a person, not just, okay, well, you're going to pay my bills and shoulder hurts. Cool. Let's just work on that. And like, how do I help you? What can I actually do to serve you? Not just as a massage therapist, but what else do you need right now today? Because every time I see you, you're going to need something different. Right. So just that simple checking in of how are you doing today, I think is what got me so busy, is because I was spent that time. And if they didn't answer the question, they didn't get to get on the table. I'm like, well, I need to know what's going on for you today, because I can't treat you if I'm uninformed. You have your mic muted.
I was doing that because there was some noise outside. Thank you for that.
You're
So
welcome.
considering I've been to so many different massage therapists that I actually had to stop going because it became ridiculous for me. If you were near, or somebody like you was near, or somebody listening who's in Farmingdale, New York, who can be my therapist, I'm in, right? Because I believe in it, right? For a
Yeah.
long time, I was going to a woman, great lady, but she just would talk about herself. And I was like, oh my gosh. And she gave me good massages, but I'm like, oh my God, would it be rude if I put headphones on? But I didn't. So I kind of suffered through it, right?
Mm.
And, I've been here and there, and and then one day I found this incredible woman in New York City, and she had an hour and a half spot. I'm like, I'm taking an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And I said, how often can I come? She goes, well, let's do the massage first. Like
Mm-hmm.
20 minutes in, I said, wow, this is great. When do you have? She goes, let's finish. I said, okay. So I said, okay, we're done. It was incredible. It was probably the best massage I ever had, ever.
Yes.
And she goes, I can't take you. I said, I'm willing to pay. She goes, I can't take you because I'm exhausted. I have 4 more clients, and working on you, I'm dead now. She goes, I can't work on you and then have other clients. I'm like, well, what do you mean you're dead? She goes, I work on all kinds of people, but your muscles are so different. They're so dense.
Oh, jeez.
So I said, and? She goes, I'm exhausted. I have 4 more clients. I can't do it. I said, I'll pay you extra. She said, no. So I had to respect her, right?
Yeah.
And so I've had all kinds of different massages, right? I've even had Rolfing, if you ever heard of that.
Yep.
And Rolfing, it totally kicked my butt for sure.
Yes.
I went in because both my scapulas were ripped, so this guy was going to help me. I went in, kind of like up. I left. I was hunchback. I was down. He beat the nonsense out of me. And then I was not even home. I was in another state at a friend's house. And then they said, what do you want to do now? I said, I want to take a nap. I slept for like 8. I never sleep more than 6 hours. I slept from 8 to 9 hours.
Yeah.
And they're like, are you okay? I'm like, now I am. But I was wiped out.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I can't see him anymore because I can't function. So what kind of massage therapy do you practice?
So I specialized in fascial stuff. So not the same connective tissue that Rolfing works on, but I take a very different approach. I've done many different trainings in the training of fascial therapy, and I mix it in with regular Swedish massage traditional techniques. But it's part of how I can help people go back to normal function, because we're getting the connective tissue to actually be hydrated and move and have range of motion again. So your muscles can actually relax because it covers everything in your body. It covers your muscles, your organs, it's around your bones. Everything is connected, intersected by, and covered in fascia. So it's creating that fix for people, because we're not just relaxing the muscles and keeping the fascia stuck and dehydrated. We're actually moving the way that your body wants to. So if you're rolling like this, I'm going to roll you, because your connective tissue can only go so far before it lets go.
Right.
Rolfing is a direct technique where they rip through everything to get you back there.
Mm-hmm.
And
I know.
knowing what I know about the body, and our bodies are pain adverse. They do not like pain. They do everything to avoid it. And so by working with the way your body already goes, I decrease the pain that your body's perceiving. And so then you actually will relax into the treatment and you don't have to fight me. I've had people come in, they're like, if it doesn't hurt, it's not effective. I'm like, not true. If I do this and then you don't find any benefit to it, you don't have to pay me, right? That was the joy of being my own employer for my whole massage career, is I'm like, you don't have to pay me then. But this is how much I believe in what I'm about to do with you, is that at the end of the day, if you really genuinely don't see any improvement and you don't find any benefit to it, there is zero risk for you. You get an hour-long free massage. Yeah.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Most people would never do something like that. So it is important to find anybody out there. If you're near Charissa, you need to go to her. If she has room, she may not even take you. But if not, listening to this podcast, and you need to share it with people, because what you're talking about is finding the right therapist for you, the one that's actually going to listen to what your body, because your body speaks. I always believe that, right? Your body speaks. So what I like to do right now is just share this video with you. Take a look. You followed the rules, tried the restrictions, counted the carbs, the steps, and the failures. You're not lazy, you're exhausted from doing it all without real change. What if the problem isn't you, but the plan? Sifu's Mind Body Method is a 90-day transformation built on 7 unshakable pillars: mindset, movement, nutrition, hydration, fasting, journaling, and faith. This isn't another shortcut. It's your structure, your strength, your reset. You don't need harder, you need better. Ready to begin? Start today. And I know that spoke to you because this is what you do. This is
Very
why you and
similar.
I, we're so aligned, you and I. It's pretty crazy. You talked about hydration before, how your body, you can see it in people, especially when they're on your table, right? Talk to us about the importance of hydration, because then I also want to get into the body building part of what you do, you and your husband, right? And then we're going to get into even how you met him. So let's talk about hydration first.
Absolutely. So hydration is very key. I always explain I've explained it to the sons and clients, is that you need water in your body because it's a part of the electrical system in your body. It's a part of how everything functions. And we have so many things that are impacting our level of hydration. Stress has an impact on it. Having caffeine, and no, I'm not going to sit here and tell you not to have caffeine because I would be a hypocrite. But it's just understanding the impact that it has on your body. So it is a diuretic, which means it makes water come out when you go to the bathroom after consuming it. So a lot more water comes out. Same with alcohol, things like that are diuretics. How much sleep you're getting, the quality of sleep that you're getting, what you're eating for food, right? Processed food doesn't have a water component to it like whole foods do. So if you're having more processed food, you definitely need to be consuming more water because your body needs it to function properly. And unfortunately, our bodies can still function even if it's not getting exactly what we need. It starts to rob it from other areas of your body. So if your body still needs water and you're not getting it, it's going to start stealing from the muscles, stealing from the cells. Your connective tissue is going to get really stuck. So you don't actually have to be on my table for me to know that you're dehydrated. I can pick you out in the crowd based on how your posture is. Because if you are well hydrated, your shoulders are going to be loosey-goosey moving around, even if they're a little bit tight. But if you are tight and dehydrated, you're going to lay like this, and there's going to be wrinkles in the front of your shirt. And all of those things are going to give you away because your body is crying out for water. So it's really important. The rule that I go based off of is, say you weigh 100 pounds, you want to drink 50 ounces of water. So it's half your body weight in water. It's a fairly safe one. Sometimes you need more, sometimes you need just that. It depends on your exercise level. It depends on how much muscle tissue you have. All of that has an impact to it. But a general rule of thumb is take your body weight in pounds and then turn that pounds to ounces. So 100 pounds is 100 ounces and drink 50 ounces.
When you think about a male and a female, you just gave us a formula for how much we should be drinking.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts when you see people with carrying around jugs, a gallon jugs of water? Is it necessary because they think that, like, this is my water, right here, right?
Yeah.
This is 24 ounces. I go through 2 or 3 of those easy a day. I am having coffee. I am Colombian. But one of the things is I'm always hydrated, right? And I talk to us about how, besides physical therapy, how did you get into all the little different aspects of what we're talking about today? Because now we can get into your bodybuilding, your training, and your spouse, and
Absolutely.
then all the gems that came with it.
Yeah. So in terms of how much water somebody should be drinking, there's so many nuanced factors. Like I drink a gallon of water a day happily, right? I do have a coffee here and there. I don't drink as much coffee as I used to, but I'm also quite a bit smaller than you are. And I'm a pretty small, lean, muscular 5'9" lady. So I drink as much water as my husband does. Sometimes he'll drink a little bit more, but I go based on what does my body need today. On the days that I train, I need a little bit more water. On days where I've been a little bit more sedentary because I'm driving back and forth to the city, we're an hour away from where groceries are. I don't drink as much water because I'm not moving around quite as much until I get home. So it really is about understanding your body. Right? That's why we give a very basic place to start. And then you have to tailor it to who you are, what you do, and how your body processes it. Some people get away with, they get more of their water through their fruits and vegetables that they eat. That's fantastic. You don't have to just drink water to get it in. It comes through fruits and veggies. But this has all come about, a lot of it started when I was a dancer, of understanding hydration is very important. And just moving into, I don't dance anymore. Now I do resistance training. And I've used that to get back into shape because there was a point of time, in my early 20s where I was overweight. I didn't have the healthy habits. I wasn't leaning into my disciplines. And so now I've really, in my 30s, leaned into a healthy, consistent way of being instead of like, okay, I get in shape. And then I just kind of like lose myself, and then I get in shape and lose myself. But, 5-6 years ago now, I joined a fitness challenge for 60 days. My little sister was getting married. She wanted somebody to do the challenge with her because it was cheaper. And then she had somebody to suffer with. So I said, I'll be that girl with you. And I needed something to do anyhow. So we did this fitness challenge where I was introduced to macros. I was introduced to resistance training versus bodybuilding or Olympic styled, and just really seeing how each little part played a role. But it was really the food that made the biggest difference. Because if you go to the gym and do all the workouts, but you don't have the right fuel, either you're over fueling with not really good things or under fueling with, you can be under fueling with good things or not great things with processed stuff. And it's going to have a really big impact on how much benefit you get from the efforts you're putting in. And then it's realizing that there's a mindset component to it, and there's an accountability and honesty, and all of those little things have come along because I've had different coaches that I've worked with over my time, and they all have their areas of expertise that they were shown to me. I have one coach that was really fundamental for me, and it's like he flicked me right in the third eye with the mindset stuff. Because he's like, you are disciplined. I don't think I've met anybody more disciplined than you. He's like, but your mindset needs to be on your side. instead of just pointing out all the areas that you should have did better. And that was that big unlock that tied everything together. I'm like, that's like the superpower for all of these things I'm doing with food, mindset, and movement. Now let's tie it all together, that if you don't have the mindset, you actually don't have anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Mindset is such a big proponent to how we excel, I
Yeah.
believe, right?
Yes.
Or we don't, or we sit down and we think that, sitting down and having a bag of chips and watching a good movie is going to cure it all because I'm relaxed. um, so talk to us about your husband. How did you guys meet? How long have you guys been together? And then you're doing something pretty incredible together, right? So many different things together. I'd love to hear more.
Absolutely. So we were introduced through a mutual friend. Tyler was working up by where I was living at the time in Grand Prairie. And it was very soon after his wife had passed away that we were introduced. We were both at a place where we weren't looking for anybody. And I was not impressed. It was another oil field guy. I had dated a couple and they had not gone well. And it was just a different mindset that there is for some of the oil field workers, that I'm like, do you hate me? To my friend, I'm like, really? Another oil field guy? And she's like, honestly, he's not just your typical oil field guy. He's not your typical Albertan. He's an organic farmer too. Like, just
Mm.
have a conversation. And I'm like, okay. So she had shared numbers between the two of us, and he reached out first. And we started talking, and we haven't stopped talking to this day. We caught up for a coffee, and we realized we had a lot of things in common. Right. And then, understanding the situation that he was in, where he had 2 children and everybody was grieving the loss of an unexpected death of his partner and the boys' mom. It definitely gave me pause. I had to sit down and think, because I had never thought I would be a parent, and really, really assess if I was the right person for this, or if I had the capacity to be able to come into the situation. I've never wanted to take over the place. We actually hold a place for mom in the family. It's important that the boys get to talk about her freely without any worry about my ego involved, because it's a part of their life. It's a really defining moment. So I had to figure out a container that would work so that all 5 of us could exist in this without it being detrimental or negative in any way. And so it definitely has had hard moments, and I've definitely had to have some conversations with myself and like be able to ask really hard questions of myself and talk to Tyler about things so that I know how to navigate it. And then just for the boys to know that no, I'm not trying to replace their mom, that I am here as a Charissa, and that there's room for all of us to be here, and that it will never offend me if you tell me a story about your mom or you tell me something that she did. Like, I will try my best to recreate a meal. It'll be a Charissa twist, so please don't expect moms, because I'll do my best, right? And sometimes I knock it out of the park and they're like, this might be better. And I'm like, cool, we don't have to worry about it, right? So it's just creating a place for them to be able to breathe and not having to feel like this step parent has expectations of them. I want them to be able to have a place to heal and just be loved and whole. And same with Tyler, right? He's got his own grief process that he's going through, his own thing that he's standing up with, being the boys' only parent left. And so to be a part of this is just a great privilege. And it's creating so much growth for me, because it's showing where I actually needed to grow and that I hadn't.
They probably, all 3 of them, brought something out of you that you didn't even know you had, right? First, you're going to get in a relationship with another person, but now instant family kind of deal, right? And then also a role you never expected to have, right?
Yeah.
Before you had that phone call with Tyler. And you told me earlier, which is I thought it was kind of funny. You said, this is why sometimes I have to do push-ups. it's a
Yes.
good release. So tell us about that. I thought that was pretty funny.
Well, I never thought I would be a parent. I actively made sure I wasn't going to be a parent, right? I was very careful my whole life because I never thought I would be a good parent. My parents did the best that they could, but it was a challenging childhood, right? So there's a lot of patterns that I do not want to repeat, pretty much all of them. And so, but that's what I grew up in. So my go-to nature is to yell, scream, throw things, right? So everything that I'm doing now goes against everything that was instilled in me in my upbringing. So there are times where you can only have so much self-control, but you want to erupt. So then I will literally drop and do push-ups because that's a tool that I've learned. And there's been times where the boys come into the kitchen, they see me doing push-ups and they turn around and go the other direction. They're like, we just got to leave her alone for a second. And I'm very honest with them. I'm like, I don't know how to navigate that. I wasn't allowed to be non-compliant. I wasn't allowed to have a voice that was against what my mom wanted, right? I didn't develop that way. So I'm like, I don't know how to navigate when you guys have your own mind about something. I'm like, I'm not against it. I just don't know what to do. So I'm going to go for a walk. Or like, there's really good open dialogue because neither Tyler and I grew up this way. We're really excited about how the boys get to grow up now and what we're creating with them. But it takes a lot of effort because it is definitely not for like first nature for me to be calm and regulated while they're telling me something that they didn't like that I did, or while they're having an opposing idea of why they don't want to do that responsibility or why it should be done in a different order. All of those things. So push-ups are very helpful.
Healthy too, right?
Yes.
An alternative to screaming or throwing things. It's a good way. One of the things that I teach is take somebody out of a situation that could become a bad one, right? Including yourself. But people they'll do it to others, but they forget themselves, right? And I love the fact that they know that you're taking care of you, and they give you the space. They don't come and bother you. And I think that you're a God sent to them, and they're a God sent to you. I'm seeing that, and what a beautiful relationship you all seem to be having, and God bless you all for that. Talk to us about farming, because he's an organic farmer. You came out of not being an organic farmer, but now you're in it. You're doing the things, you're doing the work. You understand the principles behind it. Talk to us about that. And what is it that we are farming?
Yeah. So I call myself a farming apprentice because I did not know anything about farming when I showed up here. Like we met 4 years ago, but I moved here 3 once we had gotten engaged. We are organic grain farmers. So we do rotational crops between organic oats and alfalfa hay. And so what that looks like is we have, I think, about 1,800 acres that we own and rent for growing the grain. But it means we have very distinct seasons on the farm. And so we've got seeding season, hay season, and harvest season. And seeding and harvest are the ones that require the most amount of preparation and time because they're at the whim of nature, right? And being a farmer is realizing that no matter how good you do with putting in the seed and doing the field work and all of that, you get what you get. You have no control over what Mother Nature decides to do. You have no control about the weather, things like that. It's about navigating what you're being presented with, right? And it's really just like surrendering. I did all that I can do. The rest of it is out of my control until it's time for me to harvest what we planted. And then that's where there's some control because it's like, okay, well, we can control how it comes off, but we can't control what the quality is or things like that. It's just really teaches life lessons every year, and no 2 farming seasons are the same.
That's interesting, right? No two farming seasons are the same. And we're not the same either, are we?
No, and we're not supposed to be.
No, we should be getting better every day, just like we said earlier when we
Yes.
started this podcast, right? What is people don't understand the concept of farm life, I guess, if they don't live in it, if they live in a city or if they've never even been to a farm. And we talked earlier about longevity and how my great grandfather lived to be 113. And the reason is because he lived off the farm.
Mhm.
And when we think about um, the way people shop now, they go to the supermarket, they get processed foods, they get things that come in a bag, a can, or a box. But whole foods don't last,
No.
especially organic.
Yeah.
And we talked earlier about that you are not allowed as an organic farmer to fertilize in a certain way. To talk to
Yeah.
us about that a little bit, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So the regulations are we get inspected every year. And the inputs that are allowed, like we can use organic cow manure if it's sourced from an organic place. Like it has to be traceable for anything that we want to add. And we're not allowed to use pesticides or herbicides. It's one of those things that anything that can be used conventional isn't allowed for organic farming. And we are recertified every year. Like the inspector comes to our house, sits at our kitchen table, looks through our logs of stuff, and then Tyler and the inspector go from field to field to field to field to inspect where we are, what our crops are, where our bins are, and how everything is set up compared to we do have conventional neighbors. And so we go through this process every year of it being inspected to the nth degree that we are upholding all of our standards because it means something here for it to be organic, right? And then so that we are in alignment with that. We want to be able to have an option at the market. Yes, oats come in a bag, but it is something that we know you can safely eat and you're not getting the glyphosate, and you can be feeling good about that choice that you're making to give it to your children and help them with their nutrition and dietary needs and all of those things, because there is a rigorous process that we go through to be able to say we are a certified organic farm.
So when we go to the supermarket,
Yeah.
and we see things that say organic,
Yeah.
how true is that?
So this is where Canada versus the States might be a little bit different.
Gosh, yes,
right?
please.
So I only know the Alberta standards.
Right,
I don't necessarily, it doesn't necessarily mean but when it says certified, if you're worried about it, look into it, call the company, ask them questions. People who have nothing to hide will be happy to have conversations with you. Right? It's some of the branding out there is like, this is a natural thing. Those are a bit suspect. When it comes to a certified organic, you can, especially states-wise, look into what is a certification process like? How often do they get inspected? So that you can find comfort. And again, this is the consumer taking that upon themselves to do some research and find companies and products that you believe in what they're doing and align with you. There's products I don't buy here because I don't agree with the ethos of the company. So I don't give it my dollars, right? We tell the boys, vote with your dollars.
That's it.
If you don't like it, don't vote for it by buying it, right? That's the only way the market changes is companies would like to make a profit. So if there is no demand for their product, there will be no supply of it. But it takes that ownership onto the person of being intentional to the smallest thing in your life of what are you buying? Why are you buying it? How does it make you feel when you're eating it? Is it aligning to the person you want to become? All of these questions, and it comes down to mindset, right?
Absolutely. Wow. Yeah, even protein drinks.
Yeah.
And I know because I was going to a pharmacy because we have smoothie bar. We have a smoothie bar as well, and so I said I want to give my customers the best possible product, and I did. I went to the guy that ran that particular. It's a huge pharmacy, and they have a whole department just on all the different vitamins and this and that. And it's not just a regular pharmacy where you can get, your lipstick and your Midol or whatever it is that you're getting.
Yeah.
Um, and they had a whole huge department. This guy that ran it did seminars for me, the whole deal. And he said, "You want the cleanest products? Get them from Canada."
Yep.
And I said, "Why?" He goes, "Because some of these products that you see on the shelf, even though we're a pharmacy, we kind of have to sell them." He goes, "They won't pass inspection in Canada." And I'm like,
No.
"What?" He goes, "Yeah, they will not
Uh,
pass." So I was like, "Okay, any any protein drinks has to be from Canada." And
or New Zealand.
oh, New Zealand. Okay, right. Gotcha.
New Zealand has higher regulations for
Really?
regenerative things than we do. So they have really good protein products in New Zealand and Australia, but New Zealand for sure.
Mm.
Because some of the stuff that's in Canada, I'm like, I won't take, I won't recommend. I do not, because they have so much filler in it.
Mm. And that's
Yeah.
what hurts, right? The filler.
Yeah. That's what creates the digestive upset and why most people can't actually have protein powder drinks because it creates so much gut issues.
Mm. They do. They do.
Yeah.
Wow, Charissa, we didn't even get into your bodybuilding stuff and all this stuff. I am just so intrigued by all the getting to know you. So I want to thank you today for sharing so openly with us. I felt not only in love with you, but I fell in love with your whole family, the family that you have. Tyler, one day I'd love to meet the man, and his kids.
Absolutely.
It would be incredible. Uh, I want to ask you, what's the best way, and we have it across the screen for people to get to know you so that you can help them, because I think you can help people, and your Instagram, you're doing all these incredible things that you can help people even who are not near you, right? So share with us what they can expect when they go to your Instagram.
So on Instagram, I share daily life things and habits that have worked for me with the program that we have for people. Those are things that I share as well. The Instagram at Charissa Halonen is the best way to reach, and it is me answering you. There's no bots. It is just me. Um, but it's just showing that it doesn't have to be complicated to change your life and that you need a desire and sometimes you need somebody to help guide you. So I am super happy to answer any questions that come through. I put stuff up there so people can watch and follow along at home. My goal is even if you never paid me for a coaching service or things like that, that you get benefit from being at my page and you find tools that you can do at home on your own that create change for you. And then therefore it creates that ripple effect that by you changing, your world changes, and then that changes the world.
Wow, powerful. Everybody make sure you connect with Charissa. What a powerful young lady you are. Don't
Thank you.
ever stop being you. Just keep growing. I know you will. To me, you're a hero, and you keep inspiring all of us. So thank you. Everybody, do me a favor. Share this show. We need to listen to it again. I know I will. Do me a favor. Share with somebody who couldn't see it live, or somebody hits the replay. Hit hashtag replay so we know you are here. Thank you, Charissa. Do me a favor, hang out for a minute. Everybody else, have yourself an exceptional rest of your day. Take care,
Thank
everybody.
you so much.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.